Hi, I'm Lisa Redfern, and this is Gingersnap number 23. Can you believe it? It's now December. Happy December. I'm here in Bath with my dear old friend Bunny McBride, who's a cultural anthropologist and an author, and I want her to talk about this. Her new book, By the Light of the Moon, Reflections on Wholeness of Being. Tell everybody about it.
Well,
where did you write it?
I wrote it on a little offshore island in Florida, on Sanibel Island, which I loved because it's completely low-slung. They have a real limit on how high the rooftops can be. Nothing higher than 3 stories.
Doesn't mean you can't sling
There's
things.
not a single stoplight on the island. A third of the island is a nature preserve, and in addition to that, you can just use your bike and nothing else. So it was a perfect place to write, walk on the beach, and just be quiet, solitude. Little swimming, little yoga, walk on the beach, write, make fruit smoothies. It was a total hiatus. It was wonderful. It was a total joy to write. And I wrote it because I wrote it on the heels of my mother's passing, and upon visiting my father, I was on an airplane going to see him, and as I was flying, I was reading a book I just love called The Zen Commandments, and I came across a little haiku in that book, and it had the moon in it. And as I read that, I started thinking about all these moments in my life when I'd had experiences where I was actually aware of the presence of the moon, or the moon actually had an impact on an event or an experience I was going through, and I started writing them down in the flyleaves of that book. And by the time I got to Washington, D.C. to see my dad, I had 40 little seeds for essays. And so it took a couple years before I could carve out the time to write it, but then I did. And they're contemplative essays, and some of them take place in Africa, some of them take place in just places where I've lived, and they're really about healing of various sorts, and including grief, but also about looking for light in dark places, especially in dark places. So it was a healing experience for me to write.
Well, and if you're looking for something for a friend, for a partner, for a sister, for a brother, for a mom, for a dad, really for anybody. I loved this book so much, not just because I love Bunny, and reading. I'm a voracious reader, but I love essays, and I love autobiographical writing, and I love thematic writing too, where you have a snippet of something that sort of follows through in the different essays. And Peter and I, my sweetheart, sat in bed for I don't know how many nights and read not we didn't just stay there for a week at a time. I mean, in the evening when we went to bed, we read an essay we took turns writing an essay, reading an essay to each other, and just loved it. And then I ended up getting it for several friends. This is a great gift, and I'm, not to just be on the commercial side, but Christmas is coming.
But here we go.
But here we go. Christmas is coming, and this is a great way you can get it at Amazon. Is there another portal for sales?
It's really Amazon.
So go to Amazon.com. Type in Bunny McBride.
Or your local bookstore. I mean, sometimes they have it.
Yeah.
Like in Brunswick, Maine. I mean, there's
just
a few places they have it.
Do they have it at Gulf? Does Gary have it?
Yeah, he does.
Gary has it at Gulf. And go to Gulf Books anyway.
Yeah.
Because those guys are great, and because they're one of the few
bricks and mortar stores
still alive. Okay.
Let me just say, I love that you and Peter read that together in bed to each other.
Me too.
It's wonderful.
It was a beautiful experience. So, Bunny, when did you first come to Maine, and why did you come back?
I first came to Maine, as a counselor, camp counselor. Having never been to camp, I jumped right into being a counselor. And so I was in Harrison, Maine, at a beautiful camp there, waterfront camp. And that was 1966. Came as a counselor in training, actually. And then I came back for a few summers, and then my sister lived here when she grew up and got married, and I would come visit her. I lived in Boston, and I would visit Maine like at least every month. And then I thought, I'm doing this backwards. I should be really visiting Boston from Maine. So I moved to Hollowell, and that I spent the 80s in Hollowell, and then we moved to Kansas for 3 years and stayed for 24. And then we came back all the time because our work was here. Right. We worked with the Native communities in Maine, so we had reason to be back regularly. So in a way, we never really left. Mm-hmm. And so then we came back 2 years ago.
Yay! Yeah. In my heart, you never left. Even though, I mean, I left for a good chunk of time, too. So, yes, Maine is glad to have you
This
back.
is my sweet spot.
Yay.
Maine is my sweet spot.
Okay, so Bunny, do you know your first word? And if
no
you
idea.
don't, what do you think it might have been?
I would say it either had to do with parents or food.
Yeah.
I know that I know that because of me, my nephew's first word was donut, because I used to sneak him out and we'd go to Dunkin' Donuts. And as a very young child, I mean, if it was his first word, you can imagine how early he was given donuts.
I'm just going to call Japhet Donut from now on.
Exactly. Mine was probably maybe a merger of mom and
Oh, that's good.
I don't know.
Well, let's have some So this is called Gingersnap specifically because this was a really great Gingersnap. And when I was trying to figure out a name for this little, whatever this is, interview podcast thing, I had this from Maze. So I got Bunny the,
yes.
This is white chocolate oatmeal something else. Anyway, so please have a bite. And this is the Gingersnap. This is from Maze here in Bath. And if you don't know, if you're looking for a great place for brunch,
it's my go-to place.
Maze is your spot.
I just want to say that when we warmed these a little, we just decided to pretend they just came out of the oven. So here we go.
Not that we needed to warm them up, but
oh yeah.
So my first word was cookie, or just maybe why I love cookies so much. Okay,
lovely.
Yeah. So, Buddy, is there a car?
Did you say Buddy?
Buddy. No, with a cookie in my mouth, Bunny sounds like Buddy. Is there a car from when you and Susan were little?
Yeah.
But, yeah, you know the answer.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a Mustang convertible. Yeah, it was a kind of turquoisey silver. I didn't drive till I was 30, but my sister drove. She was our hot rodder, and I drove with her.
You didn't drive? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I just didn't drive.
Because you lived in New York? I mean, is that why?
No, I just never drove.
Okay.
So, but my sister did, and another friend with a Mustang red. Let me be clear, nobody owned these cars but the parents in our neighborhood. Yeah. But we used them and had a great time. Yeah, very inefficient. Top down, heat on. We didn't know about climate change back then.
Right. Yeah, sorry. So moving on from the road to the book. Is there a book you find yourself recommending often? A book or two? I won't limit you to one.
Yeah. Well, I have a whole file of book titles. So, yes, there are many books that I recommend. Actually, right now, you know what I'm reading because of your Gingersnap?
What?
I'm rereading Tuck Everlasting by Natalie Babbitt.
Do you hear that, Tom Babbitt?
Shout out to Tom Babbitt. But my favorite all-time book is a book called The Voyage. And it is by Charles Morgan, who was a British author. He's a contemplative author, and he wrote this book just before World War II. And there's nothing not to love about it. It takes place in a little French village. The key character is this guy named Barbette, who has a tiny vineyard. He's kind of like a peasant, but he also runs a jail that is on his property, and he has 6 prisoners that he has to keep imprisoned and keep working. And so he lives this kind of very small life. Yeah. But his passion is Therese, who is who's from the little village where he is, and she sings in the local bar. But she has aspirations for Paris clubs, and she makes it there. And because of her and his love for her, his world grows. And anyway, I won't tell you what happens because the book has been republished. It's really a magical book.
Did they ever turn it into a movie?
It's all about freedom and courage and forgiveness is very big in it. So I love that book.
Lovely. Say again the title and who it's by.
The Voyage. And and it's really about the voyage of this man's imagination, is what I would say. And it's by Charles Morgan.
Lovely. Oh, I love new book. How did I not? Yeah, we haven't talked about that.
I'm sure I've told you.
Oh, okay, sorry.
in the gazillion years I've known you.
In the 30 plus years. Okay,
Whoa.
so I know. So is there a song or an album that has sort of been a touchstone for you that you go back to, that's been with you for a long time?
Well, you know how that changes.
I do.
Okay, so because that changes all the time, I'll pick a long-lasting one. There's two. Okay, I would say Fauré's Requiem.
Oh,
and oddly, I was in my 30s before I knew it.
You introduced me to Fauré's Requiem.
Probably
now it's
I
one
did.
of my favorites.
I recommend it all the time. I saw it. It's the background music for the opening scene of Werner Herzog's Where the Green Ants Dream. So there's this scene where there's this. It takes place in Australia, and there's this bulldozer coming in, and they're clearing out in order to do mining in the area. And the Aborigines sit in front of this big bulldozer, and you see these dust devils all around because it's a desert climate. And the bulldozer's moving toward these Aborigines who are just sitting there and not going to let it pass. And they say, you can't come here because it's where the green ants dream. It's sacred land. But in the background is not Aboriginal music, it's Fauré's Requiem. It's so poignant. It's beautiful. It's the it's the aria from there. I love that.
I love all those requiems. Mozart, Brahms.
I know, funny
all
how,
the requiems. I love them.
They're for death, but they're about life.
Totally.
Isn't that something?
I love that. All right, so Bonnie McBride, if a movie was made about your life, what genre would it be, and who would you like to have star as you?
Okay, this was the one question I thought about because
did you talk to your sister?
I did not talk to my sister, but I thought, of course, the first thing is, well, that's not going to happen. But then, why not? Let's play. Yeah. So then, I really wanted to say comedy, and I really wanted to say drama, and then I thought, your life isn't very funny, your life isn't very dramatic. So then I thought,
I disagree, but yeah,
I think it would be a documentary, and because, well, I mean, I may not be particularly interesting, but I have interviewed and written about amazing people through my life. And so I think it would star all of them. And
that's a good idea.
I don't care who plays me, just so they have to speak well.
Well, you could be the voiceover.
I can be the voiceover.
And you could talk about these are the people who I've met.
I could do that.
Idea.
I would love that.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say like a combination of Liv Ullmann and I just blanked on the other actress that I was doing a combo in my mind, and now I can't think.
Remember the scenes from A Marriage? That was so depressing.
Well, I was thinking, what's the famous Liv Ullmann movie that when she was, I don't know, in her 30s or 40s or something, and Swedish when she was Swedish. I mean, she is Swedish. Okay, clearly we didn't think about this before we started. All right, so I will maybe come back to that. But I also wanted to, even though we are talking about By the Light of the Moon, which I love,
in real life is not backwards.
Right, that's right. But we are. I also want to talk about a couple of your other books that I'd like for people to know about. Molly's Spotted Elk, which you can talk a little bit more about, and also Women of the Dawn. Can you talk a little bit about each book so people know about those and they can also look them up?
Molly Spotted Elk is about Molly Spotted Elk, Mary Alice Nelson Archambault. She was a Penobscot Indian, and she was, if you know who Josephine Baker was, Molly in a way was the Native American Josephine Baker in Paris. She was a fantastic dancer and performer in general, and she was a film star as well. And this is her life story, which started in 1900 and ended in 1979, and she's it involves being in love with a French journalist, performing for royalty, escaping occupation by the Germans during World War II, hiking over the Pyrenees Mountains with her daughter to safety and getting back to her reservation, and then the sad, tragic thing that happens with her husband. And then women, and then also really the role she played in the revitalization of Penobscot culture, because she, from the time she was little, she used to trade house cleaning for getting stories, old legends from the elders on the reservation. And so she collected these stories, and she wrote them down. And later, actually after my biography about her came out, her legends were published. Well, they're not her legends. The legends she gathered were published. And then Women of the Dawn is a story of 4 Maine Indian women, one from each of the last 4 centuries. And their lives are actually threaded together through Molly Spotted Elk.
Right.
She through Molly's daughter, I got permission to employ Molly, really, to be searching her roots by looking at the lives of these women.
Both beautiful, really, really beautiful books. And you can get those also at Amazon, I assume?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, good.
Yes.
Okay, so that's all good Christmas gifty stuff. So,
what? We're done, aren't we?
We haven't. You've been Gingersnap, Bunny.
Thank you.
Episode 23. Do you want to say anything else to the good folks of Cyberland?
No, just what a joy it is sitting here with Lisa, which is something I do a lot. This one just happens to be on film.
This one's official. All right, this has been Gingersnap. What's Gingersnap? It's a conversation and a cookie with a creative mayor. Today's cookies were from Maze. Thank you, Maze. And we'll be back. We'll be back next week. Okay, here we go. Hate to say goodbye. This is Bonnie McBride. I'm Lisa Redfern. This has been Gingersnap.